History doesn't just repeat itself, my friends, it screams. Imagine this scenario. It is 2 a.m. You are the president of a sovereign nation. You are sleeping in your most fortified military bunker. You are surrounded by 3 layers of Russian-made air defense systems. You have an army of 150,000 soldiers. And then in the blink of an eye, the sky above you turns red. Explosions rip through your capital city. And within 30 minutes, just 30 minutes, foreign special forces kick down your door, put you in handcuffs, drag you onto a helicopter, and fly you out of your own country. This is not a script from a Tom Clancy movie. This is not a hypothetical war game. This is the reality of our world today. Because today, on January 3rd, 2026, the United States of America has done the unthinkable. They have crossed a line that many thought was impossible to cross in the modern era. They have launched a direct military strike on Venezuelan soil, and they have captured the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. He is gone. He is in U.S. custody. The regime has been decapitated, and the geopolitical earthquake this event has caused is going to shake the world for the next decade. Hi everyone, welcome to International Affairs. Today we need to sit down and analyze this because the rules of the game have just changed forever. First, let's reconstruct exactly what happened in the early hours of this morning because the details are absolutely terrifying if you are an adversary of the United States. For the last few years, we knew tensions were high, we knew sanctions were tight, but nobody expected a kinetic action, that's the military term for it, of this magnitude. Reports are now confirming that at approximately 0200 hours local time in Caracas, multiple precision-guided munitions struck key targets. They didn't bomb the whole city. They didn't carpet bomb civilians. They targeted 2 specific locations. Fuerte Tiuna, this is the massive military complex where the Venezuelan High Command lives, and the La Carlota Air Base. Why these 2? Because Fuerte Tiuna is where Maduro sleeps, and La Carlota is where his escape jet would have been. The U.S. military effectively cut off the head of the snake and cut off its escape route simultaneously. While the Venezuelan air defense systems, which by the way are the Russian S-300 systems, were either jammed or destroyed, U.S. operators moved in. We're hearing reports that this was the Delta Force, the same unit that went after ISIS leadership. They landed, they secured the target, and they extracted him. President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social confirming the capture. He said, "The United States has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been captured and flown out of the country." Think about those words. Captured, not killed. They wanted him alive. Why? We will get to that. Now, the United States is not calling this an invasion. They are not calling this a coup. If you listen to Attorney General Pam Bondi, she is very careful with her words. She is calling this a law enforcement operation. This is a very specific legal distinction. See, legally, in the eyes of Washington, Maduro is not a president. He is a narco-trafficker. This goes back to the indictment of March 2020. The U.S. Department of Justice charged Maduro and 14 other high-ranking officials with narco-terrorism. The accusation is that Maduro led a group called the Cartel of the Suns. Why Suns? Because in the Venezuelan military, generals wear sun insignias on their uniforms. The U.S. alleges that these generals were not stopping drug trafficking, they were the drug traffickers. They allege that Maduro worked with the FARC rebels in Colombia to flood the United States with cocaine. They put a $15 million bounty on his head years ago. Recently, that bounty was increased. So today, the U.S. argument is simple. We didn't invade a country. We executed an arrest warrant for a fugitive who happens to live in a presidential palace. Attorney General Pam Bondi said today, Maduro will face the full wrath of American justice on American soil. This is unprecedented. We're about to see a sitting head of state standing trial in a New York courtroom. The optics of that, just imagine the images we're going to see. But let's be real. You don't launch missiles and risk World War III just for a drug trial. There's always a deeper reason. And to find that reason, you have to look at one thing: oil, energy security. Let's look at the data. Who has the largest oil reserves in the world? Most people say Saudi Arabia. That is incorrect. Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves on the planet, more than 300 billion barrels, more than Saudi Arabia, more than Iran, more than Iraq. But here's the tragedy. Venezuela's production has collapsed. They're sitting on a gold mine, but they're starving. Why? Because of mismanagement, yes, but also because of sanctions. Now, look at the world in 2026. The Middle East is on fire. Supply chains in the Red Sea are disrupted. The Strait of Hormuz is always a risk. The United States needs a secure source of energy in its own hemisphere. They cannot afford to have the world's largest oil tank controlled by a government that is allied with Russia and China. It's a national security nightmare for the U.S. By removing Maduro, the U.S. is likely betting on a transition to a government that will open those oil fields to Western companies. Chevron is already there. ExxonMobil wants to be there. If Venezuela comes back online as a major oil producer under a U.S.-friendly government, the global energy price drops. Russia's leverage over energy drops. Iran's leverage drops. This strikes at the heart of the anti-American alliance. So while the headlines say drugs, the subtext screams oil. Now, I want to take you back in time, because what happened today has happened before, almost exactly to the script. The year was 1989. The country was Panama. The leader was Manuel Noriega. Noriega was a military dictator. He was also accused of drug trafficking. President George H.W. Bush launched Operation Just Cause. 26,000 U.S. troops invaded Panama. They blasted rock music at the Vatican embassy where Noriega was hiding to drive him crazy. Eventually, he surrendered. He was flown to Miami. He was put in a prisoner jumpsuit. He was tried, convicted, and he died a prisoner. The parallel is chilling. Maduro is the Noriega of 2026. The U.S. is using the exact same playbook. Demonize the leader as a criminal. Delegitimize his election. Strike hard. Capture him. Put him on trial. This sends a terrifying message to other leaders around the world. It says sovereignty is not a shield. If we want you, we will come and get you, no matter how many titles you have. But here's where it gets dangerous. Panama in 1989 was isolated. Venezuela in 2026 is not. Venezuela has powerful friends. Russia has invested billions here. There have been reports of Wagner Group mercenaries acting as Maduro's bodyguards. There are Russian S-300 batteries. There are Chinese loans. China has lent Venezuela over $60 billion. Do you think Beijing and Russia are just going to sit back and watch their ally get snatched? The Russian Foreign Ministry has already issued a statement calling this an act of aggression. They are furious because this makes Russia's security guarantees look weak. If Russia couldn't protect Maduro, can they protect Assad in Syria? Can they protect their friends in Africa? This damages Russia's reputation as a security partner. So the backlash will come. Maybe not militarily in Venezuela. Russia can't fight a war in the Caribbean, but they might retaliate elsewhere. Maybe in Ukraine, maybe in the Baltics, maybe through cyber attacks. And what about inside Venezuela? Maduro has millions of supporters. He has armed militias called collectives. Will they fight? We could be looking at a civil war. If the Venezuelan military fractures, if half support the U.S. transition and half remain loyal to Chavism, we will see blood in the streets of Caracas. A civil war in a country with that much oil and that many weapons is a disaster for South America. Colombia will be flooded with refugees. Brazil will be affected. The entire region is now a powder keg. So, to conclude, we are living in a moment where the aggressive use of power has returned. The United States has decided that the risk of inaction was greater than the risk of action. They have decapitated the Venezuelan regime. Maduro is on a plane to New York. The Cartel of the Suns is in chaos, but the dust has not settled. We have to watch three things in the next 24 hours. 1. Does the Venezuelan military surrender or fight? 2. What does Vladimir Putin do? 3. How does the oil market react when the markets open? This is not just a story about one man. This is a story about who owns the future of the Western Hemisphere. Is it the U.S. or is it the axis of Russia and China? Today, the U.S. gave its answer. Now we wait for the world's reply. As always, we will keep monitoring this situation. The world is changing fast, and we are here to document it. This is International Affairs, signing off.